like that. Once it is there, then we will see how far we have gone. And it says we are broadcasting. Let's check here, and we are indeed. Awesome. Okay, so we will close this and then get going with our verse for today. So which verse is this one today?
6.30.
6.30.
Yeah.
6.30? All right, 6.30 for, okay, okay, I saw a message over there. All right, can somebody give Simi Mataji a call? Or
Oh,
text?
call?
Text,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll text.
Just text her a reminder there. Okay, thank you so much for joining our call here today, dear devotees, on the Zoom call, as well as those who are watching us on Facebook and YouTube. We'll get started after this brief prayer to the spiritual master. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapad Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bolo Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Okay, so continuing on our discussions on Bhagavad Gita, we are going to do, as you said rightly, 6.30 today. So we'll just go back a little bit to gain the connection with the previous verses that we have been talking about. And so starting from 27, they are talking about Dhyan yogis here. And it says, the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus is freed from all reactions to the past deeds. Next is, thus the self-controlled yogi constantly engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all material contamination and attains the highest perfect stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me and the same Lord, Supreme Lord, everywhere. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. So that's the verse for today. Yo mam paśyati sarvatra sarvam mayi paśyati tasyāhaṁ na praṇaśyāmi sa cha me na praṇaśyati. Yo mam paśyati sarvatra sarvam mayi paśyati tasyāhaṁ na praṇaśyāmi sa cha me na praṇaśyati. Yo mam paśyati sarvatra sarvam mayi paśyati tasyāhaṁ na praṇaśyāmi sa cha me na praṇaśyati. Synonyms. Yaha, whoever. Mam, me. Paśyati, sees. Sarvatra, everywhere. Sarvam, everything. Cha, and. Mayi, in me. Paśyati, sees. Tasya, for him. Aham, I. Na, not. praṇaśyāmi, am lost, saha, he, ja, also, me, to me, na, nor, praṇaśyati, is lost. Translation: for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Now, before we go into this, I just wanted to get some reflections on what we have heard so far. Any thoughts come to your mind? No thoughts?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Tandas Pranam Order, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Everything is Krishna and everything rests in Krishna. And so those, they would see in him. So everything is resting in Krishna. That is the first one. And he is resting in everything else. So we can't split Krishna and any other entity that we see either in material or spiritual or whatever it is, whether it's good or bad, whether it's anger or whether it's very charitable quality. Everything is Krishna. It's inseparable. That is what I think. Hare Krishna.
Good. Hare Krishna. Have you ever been lost, anyone?
Like physically or
Yes,
mentally?
Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Trying to get lost, Mataji.
Sorry?
Trying to get lost, Mataji.
Trying to get lost? Tell us more about trying to get lost. That seems interesting.
Seeing everything in case mode, Mataji.
Okay. And Sukomal Radhi Mataji, you had something to share?
No, I was just asking that when you say, are you lost, you mean physically lost or mentally lost?
Okay, so either one will do.
Well, mentally
What does
I'm lost a lot of times, physically not. But
okay. And what does this verse talk about? Krishna is never lost, right? To a devotee. He says that I'm never lost to him, right? Varchana Mataji, you have anything to share?
Mataji, I was saying I lost once.
So physically you were lost?
At the airport. And the flight left. And I was in Singapore. No communication. They couldn't understand me. I couldn't understand them. And it was very tough. But luckily, you see, somehow somebody understood my language and they gave me the next flight's ticket, and then I reached Pune. So I was lost this way.
Did you ever lose somebody close to you? Lose, like not in death, but losing here in this material world, like a pet or momentarily?
Yes, Mataji, my pet, her name was Suti. I lost her once, and then she came back on her own. Yeah, and we were really disturbed.
How was it? You were really disturbed, right?
Very disturbed. The whole family was disturbed.
yeah, for me, Nisha was once like lost, not lost, but she also missed the flight from India. She had gone alone for the first time, and then there were a bunch of people coming to the US, and but they all talking in Gujarati because they were at Ahmedabad airport, and she understood everyone, but she could not communicate. And then one Gujarati lady, they put them up in a hotel, and one Gujarati lady took her in her room and gave her food and everything. But it was a nightmare because her phone didn't work and I couldn't contact her for a long time. So
that's sad. Yeah. So let's go to the Bhagavatam and see what happens if you lose Krishna. Hare Krishna, Simi Mataji.
I don't want to even think of that, Mataji.
yeah, me neither. Why would we lose Krishna?
All right, this is from the 10th canto. The gopis search for Krishna. And I'm going to just read from the chapter description, not go into the verses. This chapter describes how the gopis, tormented through the long night by separation from Krishna, wandered like mad women from forest to forest in search of him. When Krishna suddenly disappeared from the arena of the rasa dance, the gopis, their minds fully absorbed in thoughts of him, began looking for him in various forests. From all the moving and non-moving creatures, they asked for news of Krishna's whereabouts. Finally, they became so distraught that they began imitating his pastimes. Later, while wandering in a corner of the forest, the gopis saw Krishna's footprints, which appeared mixed with Srimati Radharani's. Seeing these footprints perturbed them greatly, and they declared that surely Srimati Radharani must have worshipped Krishna with unusual excellence, since she had been privileged to associate with him in seclusion. Further along the path, the gopis came to a place where they could no longer see Srimati Radharani's footprints. Then they concluded that Krishna must have taken Radharani onto his shoulders. In another place, they noticed that Krishna's footprints were showing only the toes. And thus the gopis concluded he had been picking flowers with which to decorate his beloved. In yet another spot, the gopis saw signs that led them to imagine that Sri Krishna has been tying the locks of Srimati Radharani's hair. All these thoughts brought pain to the gopis' minds. Because of the special attention she received from Krishna, Sri Radha began to consider herself the most fortunate of women. She told him that she could walk no longer and that he would have to carry her on his shoulders. But just then Lord Krishna disappeared from her sight. Srimati Radharani, extremely troubled, then began looking everywhere for him. And when she finally met her gopi girlfriends, she related to them what had happened. All the gopis then went out to look for Krishna in the forest, going as far as the moonlight reached. But in the end, they were unsuccessful. So they went back to the shore of Yamuna and simply sang Krishna's glory in utter helplessness. Okay, so I'll stop over here and take reflections on what you heard so far. Anything stuck? Okay, just give me points on what you heard.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I felt that they couldn't find Krishna, but when they glorified to satisfy themselves, they glorified Krishna. So, so this was a very nice realization that I felt it is very nice when you don't find something that you have to glorify and then it comes to you someday or the other, it reaches you. So they had so much of faith and conviction that Krishna will come back if they glorify him.
So what is the lesson for us? Very good. And what is the lesson for us?
We should glorify Krishna all the time.
Yes. Yes. And we also see in elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read about Narad Muni, right? Narad Muni, when his mother dies and he goes off up north, which is basically to the Himalayas, and he's practicing dhyana yoga. And he sees, after practicing for some time, he sees Krishna, right? And he sees Krishna in his heart. And then he disappears. And then what does Narad Muni do? See, he's sitting with his eyes closed, and then Krishna appears in his heart, right? And then when he disappears, what it is, he tries to close his eyes even tighter and tries to bring Krishna back into his heart through his mystic prowess.
Yes, Mataji, I remember that, Mataji. I think Narad Muni, he wanted to have his darshan again, but Narayan appeared not to him, but he could hear his voice, and he said, "Now you will not be able to see me," because he still had to, meditate more on him. I think this was the conclusion. I felt.
Yeah, purify himself, right? So you can see that, when people see Krishna and then there is separation, it's very difficult to bear for people, as you can see here in the case of gopis, right? And some of the nice things also to notice about gopis' behavior in this narration that we read was that gopis, when they see the two pair of footprints, right? One is Krishna's and then there's another set of people. They are just saying, what are they saying? They are not just saying, oh, Krishna loves him more. They are saying that Radha has served him so nicely.
Served him so well. Yeah.
Right? And so they have, they don't have any envy in them. Although towards, they're just again glorifying in so many words that, you know, Radha has done a better job than them. And that's why he has done this. And then, of course, but there is pain. And so we have to remember that the pain is not that pain of envy. The pain is pain of separation. Otherwise, envy can also give you a lot of pain, right? In the heart, because it squeezes the heart. Not like that. Right, so let's go and now see what Prabhupada is telling us in the purport for this. Very interesting, very, very interesting purport by Prabhupada. So let's come here and bring it up again. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Kṛṣṇa everywhere. And he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance, he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self-realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee and the devotee becomes full in loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. In that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of the sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. It's stated in the Brahma-saṁhitā 5.38, Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santa sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundara madhya guna swarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So translation is, I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who is always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shyam Sundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. At this stage, Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. Right? So when a person sees Krishna in everything, right? So there's Paramatma. He sees Paramatma in everybody, right? And last week we had also said that Paramatma also enters Anta Pravishta Abhati, that Krishna even enters the Parmanu, even enters the atoms. What to talk about as Sirodakshai Vishnu, he enters in our hearts, right? But he enters everywhere. So when a person sees Paramatma everywhere, what does he see? What do you think he sees? How does he see Krishna? Any thoughts?
Imagination comes in your mind when you see somebody else, that I shouldn't use these kind of words and I shouldn't hurt anybody, because Paramatma lives in her and him and every jiva. So I should treat them nicely, because this is the feeling everyone gets, and that feeling only makes one feel that Paramatma resides in everyone. I know this is my thought.
Okay, any other thoughts? How do you see Krishna and everything?
When everything that you do in your daily life is always associated with Krishna, I
Okay.
think that's the time you don't lose sight of Krishna. Right?
Okay, so that's one way of making sure that he's not lost, right?
Yeah.
He's not lost to you, and then we see him. And the
Mhm.
second is that you connect everything with Krishna, right?
Hmm.
So Yudhishthir is referred to as Ajat Shatru, right? And Ajat Shatru means one who doesn't have an enemy.
Hmm.
And so somebody might just think that, oh, after all this Mahabharata is over and so many Akshauhini worth of armies are destroyed, and now we are saying Yudhishthira does not have any enemy, right? So how do we understand the word Ajat Shatru? So Yudhishthira had enemies, no doubt, right? Duryodhana was a big enemy, one that comes straight to the mind, Karna, the Shashan, right? All of them were his enemies. But what we say, when we say Yudhishthira did not have any enemy, it means Yudhishthira was not inimical to anybody.
Yeah,
Right?
he was not envious to anybody. Yeah.
Right? He is not envious. So how does that happen, right? And let us see a few more instances of this. And I'm just trying to bring up something to help us here, which it might take me a little minutes to bring it. I should have brought it up sooner, but anyway, it'll come. Okay. So this is from our favorite song, which is Shat Goswami Ashtakam. How many of you like Shat Goswami Ashtakam? No, nobody likes? It's only me?
Mhm.
Everybody's on mute. Can you raise your hand electronically?
I don't know which one it is.
Lakshmi Mataji likes it. Okay, when I show you, you recognize it. Maybe all of you are not recognizing it. Krishnot-kirtana
Oh.
gana parau premamritato nidhi Dhira dhir jana priyau priyakara Nidhatsarau pujitau Shri Chaitanya Kripa Parau Vibhu Bharavaham Bhargau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau Vande Rupa Sanatanau Raghuyugau Shri Jiva Gopalakau. And so the translation for that is, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the 6 Goswamis, namely Srila Rupa Goswami. Okay, who are the 6 Goswamis?
Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami,
Raghunatha Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami.
Jiva Goswami.
And 6th? There are only 5 now.
Gopala Bhatta Goswami.
Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Thank you for 500 points. Right, so Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in the chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they are popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they are not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. And this is very, very important for us to maintain this attitude, because we are also in the preaching business, right? So in the preaching business, you will come across both the gentle and the ruffians, right? And so how do you preach? I mean, sometimes some of the situations that you'll come across are very grotesque, right? And when you connect them with Krishna and when you try to see Krishna in them. So it's not that, you the most hideous person and you're going to see Krishna, blinking in his heart. It's not that you're going to see it like that. We have to use our Shastric knowledge and our mental faculties to connect them to Krishna. Okay? So when you see something, good person or a bad person, we are all Krishna's energies, right? Right or right?
Right.
Right? So we're all Krishna's energy. So this is how you're going to connect. You're going to say that this person has also been made by Krishna. Right? And that also helps when sometimes, we might see some devotees being glorified too much and we think that they don't deserve this. We always have to keep that at the back of our mind that Krishna is allowing that to happen. If somebody is glorifying them, there must be something. And I better be like the gopis that we heard in the 10th canto, 30th chapter, that they are just admiring that if they didn't get anything, they're just saying, okay, somebody else must have done something to earn it and deserve it. And nothing happens in this world without, not a blade of grass moves without the permission of Krishna. So everything that is happening happens like that, right? So this is how you will see Krishna in everywhere, by connecting that everything is Krishna's energy. So this is Krishna's energy. So my behavior, premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena. So my eyes are anointed. Premanjana churita. Anjan is like the kajal or the surma that you put in the eyes. So your eyes are anointed with the salve of love. So eyes are full of love, and then you see, when your eyes are full of love for Krishna, then you will see Krishna in everything. Because everything that you see, you will try to connect it to Krishna. Okay? Now, you see Krishna also, right? Premanjana Bhakti Churutarena, you see Krishna in others and you see Krishna also, right? So you want to know how the devotees see Krishna in their heart? How does he appear? You want to know about that?
Yeah.
Premanjana Bhakti. Okay. So let's see. Brahma-saṁhitā. I have to bring up Brahma-saṁhitā. Brahma-saṁhitā 5.38 is what this verse is. Veda base. Okay, there we go. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena
Mataji, you're not sharing.
Vilokayanti yam shama sundaramachintya guna swarupam govindamati purusham tamaham bhajami. So we know that we worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shyam Sundar Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their hearts of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Shyam Sundar form of Krishna is his inconceivable, simultaneous, personal and impersonal, self-contradictory form. True devotees see that form in their purified hearts. What sort of hearts?
Purified.
Purified hearts, under the influence of devotional trance. So it's very, very important for us to have our hearts purified, right? So that's why when we are reading, when we read the chapter, the description of 10.38 chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, right, where we see gopis' behavior when they see that Krishna is acting more favorably to Radharani than to themselves, their hearts are pure. That's why they can think like that, oh, she must have done something better. As long as the heart is not purified, when we see somebody else getting something, our hearts is going to be, full of envy, and, something tight is going to happen in our heart, almost keep squeezing our life out of it, right? And so it's very, very important that we have to purify our heart, and our constant endeavor should be to purify our heart. And as soon as our heart is purified, we will see Krishna. So that's why the Krishna Prabhupada is saying here, the true devotees see that form in their purified hearts under the influence of devotional trance. The form Shyam is not, this is important. The form is something to really look forward to. The form Shyam is not the blue color visible in the mundane world, but is a transcendental variegated color affording eternal bliss and is not visible to the mortal eye, right? So sometimes you see that when we look at, the colors of the rainbow, Vibgyor, right? And then we say there is infrared and then there's ultraviolet. So, right, starting from red, the spectrum of light goes the frequency wise, starting from red and all the way to violet. So then there is ultraviolet, where the frequency is more than violet color, and infrared, where the frequency of light is less than red. So we can only see between red and violet and the combinations of these lights. Anything which is less than that, anything which is more than that, we cannot see, right? But there are animals who can see ultraviolet. Give me the example of a classic animal, very famous. I will. Biology students, I'll give you a hint. It's a mammal and it flies. It's one of the few mammals who fly. My mammals don't fly, right? The bat, Chamgadar.
Oh.
Yes, and Lakshmi wrote bat. Yeah. So how does the bat, fly? Understand. So they get that. Even dogs, dogs can also see wavelengths that we cannot see. And sometimes people say that, when the Yamdutas come, the dogs are able to see them. And that's why when the master is about to die, the dog starts to cry. The dogs will cry, right? Before death happens in the family. So these animals have got these propensities. They can see here and there, right? So here what they're saying is that, it's not even that. We're not even talking about that light from the material world. When you're seeing Krishna, it is, the form Shyam is not the blue color visible in mundane world. It's not even a color from this mundane world. It's a transcendental color, because Krishna is transcendental and is not visible to the mortal eye or the material eye. On a consideration of the trance of Vyasdeva, as in the shloka Bhakti Yogana Manasi 174, it will be clear that the form of Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, which is the only true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. When Krishna manifested himself in Vraja, both the devotees and non-devotees saw him with this very eye, but only the devotees cherished him, eternally present in Vraja, as the priceless jewel of their heart. Nowadays also, the devotees see him in Vraja in the hearts, saturated with devotion, although they do not see him with their eyes. The eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of the pure, unalloyed spiritual self of the jiva. The form of Krishna is visible to that eye in proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. When the devotion of the neophyte reaches the stage of bhava bhakti, the pure eye of their devotee is tinged with the salve of love by the grace of Krishna, which enables him to see Krishna face to face. The phrase in their hearts means Krishna is visible in proportion as their hearts are purified by the practice of devotion. The sum of substance of the shloka is that the form of Krishna, who is Shyam Sundar, Natvara, Murlidhara, and Tribhanga, triple bending, is not a mental concoction, but is transcendental and is visible with the eye of the soul of the devotee under trance. And then for us who are here in this material world, we have to start with the material world. You have to start with whatever you have, right? So like we said last time, that in the material world, there were so many ways we can still think of Krishna, right? And Krishna says that in the 10th chapter, Rasoham apsukanteya, right? I am the taste of water, right? He's equating so many things in that chapter, so many things from the material world to himself, right? So we should get into this practice of connecting ourselves with God, right? But the problem here is that we instead, go and ask things and we order God and we say, God, you come and see us. I'm in this situation, you come and take care of me. But on the other hand, we should be the one who should be reaching out to see Krishna. And there are so many times. And not only do you see Krishna, like, in this material world, like, okay, I'm drinking water, so I'm seeing Krishna. I see butter in the aisles, I'll think of Krishna, like that. So these are material things which are there. So I'll tell you a story here, that there was a man and he was supposed to go and meet his client, right, in a different office, in a different part of the city. So and it was very important client, he was supposed to be on time there. So he took out his car and then he drove. Everything was fine, except for when he went to this big client who had a big building And there was another building which was just the parking lot, like 5-story, 6 stories tall parking lot, which would park like 1,000 cars. So he enters the parking lot and he's trying to find a place. And guess what? First floor, completely full. Second floor. Now he's getting nervous that if he doesn't find a parking, he'll have to go out, find a parking on the street, come back, and he'll be late for the meeting. And then so he says, I don't even have the time to go all the way up the 6 floors that are there. And he's on the 3rd floor. So he says, okay, Kṛṣṇa, I'm just praying to you that could you, if you can find me a slot, you know what? If you can find me an empty parking slot, right? On the next floor that I'm going to, I will start chanting 16 rounds every day. He was that desperate, right? So he had this little negotiation going on, one-sided negotiation with Kṛṣṇa, right? So he was going to go to the 4th floor. And just then, while he's on the 3rd floor, he sees, right next to him, a car pull out from the parking lot and is leaving the garage. So then he turns to Kṛṣṇa and says, never mind, Kṛṣṇa, I found a slot.
Oh gosh. Wow. Mm.
That is us, right? So not only should we be looking at Kṛṣṇa in the material things as Kṛṣṇa's energy, you also have to remember to see Kṛṣṇa's hand in it, right? And it's a nice way to, it's easy actually to see Kṛṣṇa's hand when things are going good for us, right? The thank you is very easy. The problem comes when things are not going according to our plans. When Kṛṣṇa's plans seem to be orthogonal or in the opposite to what we were planning.
Hare
Right.
Krishna, Mataji, can I tell you something what happened today?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Remember, we are on
Okay.
Facebook though. Yeah.
Mataji, around since last 5-6 days, I'm feeling breathless totally. So, and Anuj came down yesterday and he said, Ma, you can't sit at home. We have to take you to the hospital. So around 2:30, and he says, now I cannot wait. You have to come with me. So I was just thinking, tomorrow is Ekadashi. And if I'm in the hospital, how will I do it? I don't know how it came to Anuj's mind. And he told the doctor, since all the tests have been done and only she has to take medicine, so then, and I'm at home, then why don't you discharge her and I'll take care of her. And immediately they discharged me. I came back at 8 o'clock at home. So Kṛṣṇa really helps. If you really pray him, he really does it, Mataji. He really does it.
And how do you think that happened?
It was Kṛṣṇa's
mechanics of
mercy,
it.
Mataji. Mercy.
Yeah, that is true. That is no doubt about that. But the mechanics, I'm asking the mechanics of that.
It came to Anu's mind, Mataji. He himself went to his mind and told him that you speak these words, I feel that.
And can somebody tell me a verse in support of that? From Bhagavad Gita? Lakshmi has given the right answer. But I'm looking for a verse.
Yeah.
It's the super soul who does that. The super soul is reading your heart. The super soul is there in your son's heart as well, right? So the super soul will plant that idea. 15.15.
Sarvatra.
Shraddha Mataji, I have a question that in our daily lives, every time we run into a problem, is it okay to keep asking Kṛṣṇa that, oh, get me out of this, get me out of this? It seems like we should not be thinking of him only when we have a problem, right? So the problem we don't ask him to solve the problem. We try to solve it, knowing that he will help us to make the right decision, right?
But it is there's no harm in asking. It shows humility. Because if we say, I'm going to solve my problem ourselves, there is a danger of getting egoistic. That I solve my own problems, I don't ask God, right? So
Yeah.
look at the Gopas of Vrindavan, right? When they go with Kṛṣṇa to play, they always, or the residents of Vrindavan, they're always asking Kṛṣṇa this and that, this and that, this and that, right? Because they're completely surrendered to Kṛṣṇa. He's their only hope. or the scope. Krishna is the only one they know, so he's the only one who can provide, right? Jivo jivasya jivanam eko bahunam.
Yeah, so I'm asking that it's okay to keep asking Krishna in your
It is
everyday lives also for
Yes.
small things.
Yes. It shows a connection, right? And so there are various ways in which you can ask, right? First thing is that, to acknowledge that whatever is happening because of Krishna's will. Krishna's will
Yeah,
is
that's what I was saying, that if we already know that whatever is happening to you is because he has willed it, then should
But then
we
we
be
are not, but we are pranis, right? We are jiva souls, we are small. And so the prayer to Krishna would be that, Krishna, this is your will. Just give me the strength to bear
Mhm.
it so that it can go according to your will. Because what happens in our lives is that whenever something happens according to Krishna's will, we try to twist and dodge and adjust, right? And as we try to adjust and calibrate and recalibrate without taking Krishna into account, then we have problems,
Mhm.
right? So our mood should always be, actually our mood, as you saw today in today's verse, Peman Jana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. So when we are saying that with the eyes which are anointed with love, right? Then what should we be asking God? That give me love for you,
Mhm.
right? That should be our prayer. And it is a big thing. It is a very big thing to understand what is love of God and what is love in the first place, right? I was just, somebody was telling me this story that there was a boy and a girl, and they were attracted to each other. They had developed, intimacy. They started living together as husband and wife, but they were not married. And then after some times, couple of years, then the girl told the boy that, let's get married. And he was like, why? Why should we get married? We are already living. Life is cool. She said, no. She insisted that we should get married. And so that guy, took his hands and choked her to death and cut her to pieces and threw away. So it's very difficult to understand what is love,
Mhm.
right? Love and lust are two very different things. So to ask for pure love of Krishna, right? That should be the aim. Prema, right? That's why they say adav shraddha tata sadhu sangha tata premika. So that is prem. And prem, well, in the context of prayers, I cannot resist bringing up this chapter. And it's going to take us some time, but we have time today. And let's sing this together. All right, advanced view. And you will see how they behave, the gopis, how they behave. Right. So they're praising Krishna and they are singing in our famous Gopi Geet, chapter 31 of Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 10. Right? So here they're saying, Shraddha-devi Dasi sadhu jata sat sarasi jodara shri nishadrisha Surathnath te shulk dasika varada nignado neha kim vada. So what are they saying here? Right? Just open that and this here. So you're saying, Oh Lord of love, in beauty your glance excels the world of the finest, most perfectly formed lotus within the autumn pond. O bestower of benedictions, you are killing the maid servants who are giving themselves to you freely without any price. Isn't that murder? Right? So how, if the feeling is that you're killing me and still they want to hang around Krishna, is that logical? But love is not like that. Love of Krishna is different. Right? And then more coming here. Separation, right? So how do they feel separation from Krishna? How they beautifully describe that. Atati yat bhavan ahnikananam trutiyugayate tvam apasyatam kutila kuntalam srimukham jate jada uditatam pakshmakrit. Right? So what they're saying is that when you go off to the forest during the day, a tiny fraction of a second becomes like a millennium for us because we cannot see you. And even when we can eagerly look upon your beautiful face, so lovely with its adornment of curly locks, Kutila Kuntalam, our pleasure is hindered by our eyelids, which are fashioned by the foolish creator. So they can't even bear separation. Forget about him going off for work. Even when he's standing in front of them, they can't bear separation for that fraction of a second. One nimish it takes, which is a fraction of a second to blink your eyes. And he says we can't even bear that kind of separation. So that is love of God, right? On the other hand, you might just say, see, we have seen ladies who say, well, they love God and they love their husbands. And on Facebook, on their wedding anniversary, they will write something very nice note there. Others will be so impressed. And then when you look into their day-to-day lives, they're like, oh, I just wait for him to go to office. Then I can sit and watch my favorite television serial. Then I'm done for till 5 o'clock. I can go, I can gossip, I can shop, I can do this, relax, chill, get into the bathtub, I can do this and that, right? There's no separation, actually, being said by, because there's no true love there. And I'm not blaming them. Maybe their husbands are not Krishna, that's why, right? Like that. So love, true love. Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena, right? And so going back to our verse for today, which if you remember, because we have gone to so many verses, is 6.30. Okay, so bringing that up and going a little bit more into what Prabhupada is saying in the purport to that verse. So yomam paśyati sarvatra sarvam cha mayi paśyati tasyāhaṁ na praṇaśyāmi sacha me na praṇaśyati, right? So this praṇaśyati, what is the meaning of praṇaśyati?
Losing, lost.
Losing or lost, right? So any other place that we heard the word praṇaśyati recently?
Yeah.
Did not? Okay, I'll ask a question. Yes. Yes, very nice. Yes. I'll ask a question that if somebody is doing very bad things, what should be your mood? Based on the discussions today?
You don't react.
You will not react, right? Why?
Because Krishna is in him as much as he is in you.
He's as much as he's in you, he's in that person as well, right? But then he's doing something wrong, right? So what will be your approach? What can you do without interfering?
You can leave the place, Mataji.
Yes, but then what can you do to change his situation? Leave the place is good because you don't want association.
Stay quiet, Mataji, don't reply.
Okay. Yeah, and then Lakshmi Mataji has the right answer. She says his condition makes him do so. Conditioning makes him do so. His karmic reactions, his mind, the etchings in his mind, like lingering mental impressions from his birth, right?
But Mataji, I have a question. But if you live with some person who is like Krishna consciousness or who believes in Krishna, still the people is not changing. So then what you will do? If I live with someone who is a great devotee and still I'm not changing, my attitude, my reaction is not changing, then?
Yeah, we'll park your question here, but first answer my question. And you'll get the answer to your question. My question was that what can you do? You come across somebody and you gave some answers and they are right answers, right? You said that you will walk away from that place because you don't want to be influenced, right? You will not judge that person because you see Krishna in that person, right? And then what's there in the chat?
Right? Lakshmi said his conditioning is
right.
Prasadam.
You can give prasadam, very nice. And then the most important thing is that you can pray to Krishna, right? Because after all, that person is your brother or sister, because we are all children of Krishna. Which verse tells you that?
Mataji, I am the seed giver father, but I don't
Yes,
know.
yes. Anybody remembers?
Forgot.
Bhagavad Gita 9 dot. Tell me. 17. Okay. 9 2 is 18 minus 1. Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Riksama Yajur Evacha, right? So he's talking about him being the Vedas. Vedesya Sarver Aham Eva Vedo. 15 or 15 also talks about that. So as you start looking at the Bhagavad Gita more scrutinizingly, you'll also start seeing connections and repetitions from one to another. Okay. So the most important thing is that, going back to our question, is that you can pray to Krishna. And then does that answer your question, Sudhava Mataji, your question to me? That if you're living with a devotee and you're not able to change them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, Mataji.
Right? And then again, the turmoil comes from the fact that we are focusing on the result. Right? We are doing something and the results are not happening. Karmanevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Right? You have a right to perform a duty, but whatever will happen according to Krishna's will. And you know what? It is bound to happen. Bound to happen. And 9.30. Api chet suduracharo bhaste mam ananya bhak sadhur eva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. So he's saying that even if you find somebody doing extremely abominable activities, right? But they will still be, you should still consider to be saintly. So if a devotee is behaving like that, you consider, if the devotee is doing something wrong, let it be between Krishna and that devotee. Unless it is something grossly wrong, right? Somebody not following the ISV principle, the ISKCON principles or things like that, or the Shastras, and doing something which is hurting and others, then you take the appropriate route to do that. But other than that, this thing that we have of mentally judging things is all the noise that happens in the mind. I remember I was in the temple recently and it was time to do the Gayatri. So, and the temple hall was full of people honoring prasadam there. And it was time for me to do the Gayatri. So I was sitting in front of Prabhupada and I was trying to chant my Gayatri, or sat down to begin to chant my Gayatri. And then one of the Mataji said that, oh, Shraddha Mataji, it's so sad, there's so much of noise, we are so sad, feeling so sorry that there's so much of noise around here, you can't do your Gayatri. And I said, the external noise no longer bothered me. It's the internal noise, that will go happen even when we are chanting your Gayatri. External noise, you can still practice to tune out. But what to do with this internal thing that happens? So this internal habit that we have of judging people and trying to, okay, let me set him straight or her, and why is this not happening? So then agonizing over that, right? Instead of that, surrender to Krishna. This is a sweet surrender. Why are we surrendering to Krishna? Because we know, mere bas ka kuch nahi. There's nothing I can do now, but Krishna, you do it, right? And then that'll bring you peace. That'll bring you peace because you are connected to Krishna. What else can you get when you're connected to Krishna, right? So you can pray to Krishna. And when Krishna gives you that, remember, don't be like that guy who was driving and trying to find a place in the parking lot. When it actually happens, remember to put the connection that this happened because of Krishna and not because of us. Maybe we were just the instrument, right? We were just... And then also remember that Krishna, being the Mata Dhata Pitamaha, being the father, it will be concerned, right, that this person is behaving like this, antagonistic to Krishna, or still being a devotee but not getting it. So Krishna might be feeling frustrated or sad about that, right? Being a father. So what is the father doing as a super soul? He's planting those ideas in your heart and making you go and make prasadam and distribute prasadam or do things, this and that, right? But from our side, when we are getting these ideas, we have to be clear in our hearts that that person is connected to Krishna, as Krishna's energy. So my behavior should be appropriate. So that's why they say Mukhe Prasadat. Right? So Sukumal Radhe Mataji, right? Remember? Guru Maharaj always says that when we are being initiated. Mukhe Prasadat. From now onwards, whatever comes out from your mouth has got to be Amrit. It should be pleasing to others. It should be merciful. Our Vani should be merciful, right? And of course, we all fail in that, following that instruction. But when it comes to practice again and again, it will just come to practice. And so remember, when that happens, remember to thank Krishna. That Krishna, out of his own thing, made the changes in that person, and also listen to your heart, where your heart desire was there to have that other person improve. So Krishna did that as well. So this is known as seeing Krishna in everything, where I try to see Krishna in everything. So, and that's why Sukamrade Mataji was saying that it's okay to shout out to Krishna for everything. Like, ouch, my tooth is paining, Krishna. And, like, now this will hinder me from chanting. Like that, as long as that mood, everything that I'm doing, yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat jihoshi, dadasi, yat, whatever you're doing, connected with Krishna. So then you'll get everlasting peace, right? So then I was asking that where does the word praṇaśyati comes, right? So then they were saying api sechu duracharos. He said, right, if somebody is very bad, then do not classify and do not say anything. You consider them as a sadhu, because in the next verse 9.31, Krishna will come and say, Shipram bhavati dharmatma sashva shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhaktya praṇaśyati. The bhakta is never lost. Why? Because he has done certain things. He has got his credits. He's got his bank balance. He might not use it for some time, but time will come when he will use it, right? Nehabhikamo nasosti pratyavayo na vidyate, right? Even you do this much swalpam of devotional service, it gets added to your credits, right? And then, so in second chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna, right? Nehabhikamo naso. Actually, he begins the Bhakti Yoga section of chapter number 2 by this only 2.40 verse, right? Nehabhikamo naso si pratyavayo na vidyate. That anybody, there's no diminution in doing your devotional service. So, but then there will be people who will fall down. And that's why Arjuna asks that question, right? In which chapter does Arjuna ask that question? What happens to those who are not successful? Do they perish like raven clouds? In this chapter 6.
6.
Later on, Arjuna is going to ask, right? What's going to happen when somebody who was a very highly advanced devotee, and then he's not able to do those last few steps? What happens? And then those who are mediocre, what happens? And then Krishna answers those two questions, right? And that those who are highly advanced, then they will take birth in such families where devotional service is practiced, right? Like they'll be born in Gujarat, maybe. Everybody has got Krishna underneath their skin, right? Or for some other people who had still some material desires left, then because of the activities that they did, pious activities they would have done, right? Then they will be elevated to higher heavenly planets. They will enjoy their things, but then they will come back, and then they will be again put in some better families, like a rich family or a transcendental family, and then they will revive their Krishna consciousness again. It's about revival. It's already there. You just have to revive it and bring it. Like it's like there's a bulb and there is there's dust on top of it, so you just wipe it off like that. So he's going to ask that. But in the 8th chapter, Krishna says, I'm forgetting, I think 8.5 or something like that. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajyatante kalam tam tam eveti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavita. Let's look that verse. It's an interesting verse. I think we should go through that. Srimad Bhagavad Gita 8. Let's see. Yeah, 8.6 it is. Okay, I'll bring this up. 8.6, thank you. And then, how do I share my screen? Am I already sharing? No. Okay, so 8.6. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajyatante kalamiram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhav bhavitah. Right, so let's see. What does it mean? Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body. Eti means gets, right? Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever he remembers, whatever is his nature, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain, he will get, eti, without fail. See? So this is a guarantee. This is a guarantee that Krishna is giving. You see? He already gave that guarantee in chapter 8. Right? In 9, he was saying, Shipram bhavati dharmatma sashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijani name bhakta praṇaśyati. Although temporarily things can happen, right? Now, also in one more place, and this is my favorite section of Bhagavad Gita, there is a very nice cyclical thing that happens. And let's look at that and bring that up. It's in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, and verse number will be 62. Okay. Dhyayato vishiyan pumsaha sangastesho pajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. Okay, so far so good. Just, a person got angry. Now let's see what happens in the next verse. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. But Krishna is saying, Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijani name bhaktya praṇaśyati. Even when that thing happens, he's giving a guarantee that name bhaktya praṇaśyati, that's not going to, the devotee is not going to fall or be lost to him. So when we see somebody doing apichet sudarachara, which is bound to lead to a downfall, our approach should be, well, fine. He's already doing devotional service. Krishna will take care. And we have seen that. People's change behavior over a period of time, right? They could be most abominable devotee. And then they change. Why? Because they're chanting. Varshana Mataji.
Yes, Motherji, in spite of chanting the holy name, you are doing your 16 rounds and you're thinking of Krishna, and you find, after reading the scriptures, you have understood that Krishna resides in everything. But at the last moment, suppose a person is really very sick, and you see, at that time, the condition is such that he is in coma or something. So in that condition, Mataji, then how will a person remember Krishna?
Who goes to coma? The soul goes to coma?
No, the
No.
body.
I mean, the physical body. Mind goes to...
Mind doesn't go to coma. Brain goes to coma.
Brain goes to coma, yes.
Right? Brain or whatever goes to coma. The material body, gross body goes to coma. The subtle body is still there. And people have gone into coma and come back and they have told you that they heard the conversations the doctors were having while they were declared to be in coma. One, right? It's the first thing, you remember that, right? Second thing is that Rakshashiti iti vishvaso, that have the faith that Krishna will do my raksha, Krishna will take care of me. Say that 10 times to you every day, and then it'll become a habit. Krishna will take care. Otherwise, where is the faith? Adav Shraddha. In the beginning, there should be faith, right? That is the faith, right? And then when the faith progresses into love, right? At that stage, it is such a high state that bhakta is not even bothered. So what is the big deal? I am in coma and I did not take Krishna's name. So now I am born as in some low-class family or a demon family because of whatever reason. So what? All that I want is Mana janmane bhakti hetuki tvai. All that I want is that I want to do bhakti. I don't care about the material circumstances under which I am there.
Like Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, exactly. Right? And then Vayur Anilam Amritam Atedam Bhasmantam Shariram Om Kritosmara Kritam Smara Kritosmara Kritam Smara. So in Ishopanishad verse number 17 it says that, right? So this is saying that Vayu Anilam Amritam Atedam. Vayu, Anil, air, like my earth, water, fire, air. When I die, all these are going to be returned, right? Earth to earth, water to water, fire to fire. That's what happens, right? When they burn our body. So then he's saying that at that, so let all these things be merged, at the time of that, basically describing the time of death. And he says, Krito smara, kritam smara, krito smara, kritam smara. Krishna, you please remember all that I have done for you. All that I have done for you. Because I could be in coma. That is a fear in that Ishapari's verse. But in the purport, Prabhupada says that even if a devotee forgets about Krishna, Krishna will never forget him. And today's verse is exactly saying that I am not lost to him. And he is never lost to me. So fine, if a devotee is in coma, do you think Krishna doesn't know that? Krishna is not observing that? Krishna is not watching that? Right? And Guru Maharaj tells such a fantastic story of a devotee who kind of lost touch with devotional service and was engrossed in material life. And then she had a near-death experience, that very, very sick. And then I think they were wheeling her away in a stretcher or something from her home to take her to the hospital. And there, as they were wheeling her away, in the hallway, she saw the Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam was there for so many years, stashed in some, book rack and never, looked at. But then she sees it. So who do you think directed her eyes?
Krishna.
Krishna. Can you tell me some verse that supports that claim that it is Krishna? Ishwar sarvabhutanam hrideshe arjun tishtati, right? 18.61. Let's bring up 18.61. So this is such a good thing that we have a navigator, we have a co-pilot with us, ready to navigate us in our life, but we don't look at the co-pilot. We are pilots. We think we are the pilots. We don't need the co-pilot. Ishwar sarvabhutanam hriteshe arjun tishtati bhramyam sarvabhutani yantarurani mayaya. So the Super Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as in a machine made of the material energy. Right? Arjuna was not the supreme knower, and his decision to fight or not to fight was confined to his limited discretion. Lord Krishna instructed that the individual soul is not all in all. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, or He Himself, Krishna, as the localized super soul, sits in the heart directing the living being. After changing bodies, the living entity forgets his past deeds, but the super soul, as the knower of the past, present, and future, remains the witness of all his activities. Therefore, all the activities of living entities are directed by this super soul. The living entity gets what he deserves and is carried by the material body, which is created in the material energy under the direction of the super soul. As soon as a living entity is placed in a particular type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. A person seated in a high-speed motor car goes faster than one seated in a slower car, though the living entities, the drivers, may be the same. Similarly, by the order of the Supreme Soul, material nature fashions a particular type of body to a particular type of living entity so that he may work according to his past desires. The living entity is not independent. One should not think himself independent of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The individual is always under the Lord's control. Therefore, one's duty is to surrender, and that is the injunction of the next verse. So we were at 18.61 and 18.62 says, Tam eva sharanam gaccha sarvabhavena bharata tat prasadat param shantim sthanam prapyasi shashvatam. O Shayana Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and eternal abode. Right? And then in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was telling Arjuna that without peace, where can there be happiness? So you first attain peace by surrender. Once you have surrender, then you don't have to think about it, right? Like as kids, sometimes we land ourselves in trouble. Like suppose we broke a friend's toy or something, and then she's after us. We don't know. And so we agonize, and this friend threatens to, beat us or expose us or whatever, right? And you are in turmoil. And then you go to your parents and tell them that this is what has happened. Then what happens? The problem gets transferred. You have told your parent, and now you'll sleep peacefully that night. Right? So that's what we do. Krishna is Mata, Dhata, Pita, Maha. So all these verses that we are reading, the chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we're reading, we have done chat so many times. So chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita, we have done it so many times, right? Every month we used to do that. So 12 verses get done, 12 chapters get done in a year, and we have been doing chat for a decade now, I think, or more than that. So we have gone through the Bhagavad Gita several times, but the thing is now how to start applying it in our lives, right? Apply it, connect it, think about it. So now that you read your chat, be more conscious that I have to apply it. And seek Krishna. The moment we sit down to read the Bhagavad Gita, first and foremost, ask Krishna to give us the focus so that we can read it, right? Like that. Oh, that's it. Any further questions? It's past Sutapa's sleeping time or dinner time already. Sukamaladi Mataji, what are your thoughts? You seem pensive.
No, I really enjoyed the class, but I just wanted to say when I asked you that question about asking Krishna every day, but now since I'm advancing even slower than a snail, but I just wanted to share that when something happens that which turns out like in a positive way, some problem that just gets solved automatically. So my first instinct is to thank Krishna. So that has become it's like automatic. So that part I was sure of. I was just not sure if we should be asking every minute of the day for everything.
Yes, you can. Because sometimes we say that I don't want to bother Krishna. Well, we are limiting Krishna because we are saying that if we give him this much, he will be bothered. But Krishna is Balwan. He's all powerful. He can do everything, right? And every time that you ask Krishna, you are taking Krishna's holy names.
But then doesn't it contradict with the fact that Krishna has given us free will also?
Krishna has given us free will, yes. Krishna is giving you the free will. That what you want to ask Krishna. Are you going to ask Krishna all the time for material things? You already got a car, now you want a Porsche. And we like that. Like that free will is there for you, with you. Right? But asking Krishna for things is not wrong at all. It establishes a relationship. Sambandh. I have a relationship with Krishna. I'm a servant. Who takes care of the servant? The master.
Those things, which we are asking, if they are related to Krishna for his service, like you see, I felt that tomorrow is Ekadashi, I won't be able to do it if I'm not at home. So, you see, I felt that whenever we ask if it is for his service, I think then
it's bona fide.
Okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Right. Yeah, but what I'm just saying is that as your life gets dedicated to Krishna, as you dedicate and you become Krishna conscious, everything you do is connected to Krishna. You realize that, right? For example, something like, tomorrow is Mangalarti and you are sleepless. So there's nothing wrong in saying, Krishna, give me the sleep because I want to get up in the morning. So you see, even bodily comforts or make me, I'm suffering from fever, let the fever go away. Somebody might say, why are you asking for fever to go away? You're suffering for your sins. Well, excuse me, I want to go get up in the morning and go for Mangalarti. Or I have seva and I have chopping to do. I need to be healthy. Right? So it's okay. I want to preach. How will my projects work, right? If I'm not good. Right? So and then also pray to Krishna to help us overcome our anarthas. Because we can't overcome anarthas on our own without Krishna's help.
Absolutely.
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, I remember once you told me that be careful of what is your prayer is, means what you are asking. Suppose you are asking that man or that person should change, but then you don't know how the Krishna will, what Krishna will do to make him change. So I am also very scared of. I'm very careful what I'm praying.
Yeah. We have to be careful what we pray for. Yeah, especially in Vrindavan, there are Kalpavriksha.
Yes, Mataji. Okay, Mataji, I'm leaving. Thank you for the class, Mataji.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
If there are no further reflections or questions, then maybe we can call it a day on this call.
So, Shraddha Mataji, I wanted to quickly share. I won't take up time. So for Gaur Purnima, we had chopping was going to be done on a Sunday, and it was for 500 people. Sunday school is going on, something or the other is going on. So we were just wondering, where are we going to chop? You were there. But Shyam Jagannath and his whole team came to help us, and we were done with almost 90% of the chopping. And he said, next time, if you tell us this is my Bhakti Vriksha group, if it's a weekend, you can do. And then they all came again for Ram Navami, if you remember, and they all came and so my first thing was, when I came back home, like 3 hours earlier than I would have normally come home, it automatically came to thank Krishna for sending all these extra people. And Shyam Jagannath, of course, he's very humble. He said that you're giving us so much service, but it's like so many hands, and cutting and chopping 500 people got done so fast. So that automatically, but I didn't ask Krishna to send help. It just came, and then I thanked him. So it's like, I never forget to thank him, but I'm not, so you cleared it that I can ask. So
Yeah, you can ask, but not with a sense of entitlement. I am such and such a person, I'm a devotee, initiated, I can ask, right? Not that you will do it, but I'm generally, since we are speaking on Facebook, I just want this to be clear. And then, so to thank him, right? And then when reversals come in our life, then we have to turn to Krishna to say, Krishna, help me understand what you're trying to teach me through this. And teach me and help me understand it quickly, because I am not capable of handling it.
So he gives you the tolerance or patience to handle it.
Patience, he might intervene and fix. Yeah. So that connection has to be there constantly. Yeah. There's a very nice verse that I wanted to bring up. Hold on. This is from it's from the second canto. I think it is second canto, second chapter, no, first chapter. Okay, yeah. This is very important. Sukdev Goswami comes in the second canto. Sukdev Goswami doesn't speak anything in the first canto, because first canto Suta Goswami is telling, right? And then Suta Goswami says, oh, this and such thing happened, where Parishad Goswami was cursed to die, and then Shuka Goswami entered, right? And then Sukha Goswami starts speaking in second canto of Bhagavatam. So keep that in mind. So here it's the second canto, first chapter, the very first verse. What is he saying? Deha patya kalatradishu atma senyashva asatswapi tesham pramatto nidhanam pashyan api na paśyati. So deha. So persons divide of Atma Tattva, like those who don't understand soul versus body, right? Do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to fallible soldiers like the body, children, and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see their inevitable destruction. It's very, very important. Like, I have got life insurance. I've got a husband in a nice position. I've got kids who are in good jobs. I've got sons, who do, last rituals for me. And guess what? Your son goes to America and you die in India, right? But if you're a devotee, if you die in India, you'll be surrounded by devotees. So, paśyan api na paśyati. You see and you still don't want to see. Like an ostrich, bury your head. So then this verse says that they do not inquire into the problems of the life. So then comes the question, what do you think is a real problem? How do you define a problem, right? For example, if Vidyavadhu Mataji is watching, she'll remember that she had a friend when we were teenagers. She had a friend who said, oh, yesterday there was a tragedy in my life. So we were like, oh, what happened? Oh, I gave this kurta to the tailor to stitch and he messed it up. That's the
That's a
definition
tragedy.
of tragedy. That's the definition of tragedy, right? So what exactly are real problems of life? So to define a problem as a real problem, that problem, number one, will be applicable to everybody, right? All times, all places, guaranteed, always, and will not have a material solution. So that boils down to 4 problems: birth, death, old
Old
age,
age,
and disease,
disease.
right? I mean, Shana Mataji, your son is a doctor, he goes to the hospital, right? And people, just from going out to the grocery store, once got COVID, and he was there serving in the hospital, which was full of patients, right? So disease, we think that, I will not get disease or I will get disease like that. It's all in Devanetrena. It happens under the directions of the Lord, right? So we think. So these are the 4 problems of life, and that is where our focus of life should be. And that's why he said that those who are devoid of Atma Gyan, Atma Tattva, right? Atma Tattva means you're not trying to go beyond this into the transcendental. You're still hovering around in this plane, and you're going to say, oh, I have got this, I have got that. Everything will be taken care of. Paśyati na paśyati, not seeing it still, like that. So very, 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 very powerful statements, he's making. And then later on, he will, of course, chapter 2, he'll start talking about devotional service, but not in so many ways. But slowly he'll say, first look at that, a universal form of the Lord, and slowly, look at him in your heart, and like that, slowly he'll say. But then he glorifies devotional service. I think it is in the 8th chapter of 2nd canto. Let me bring up that verse. Yeah, 8th chapter. Let me bring this beautiful verse, and I'll stop with this. It's just so beautiful. I wanted to share that with you. Shrinvatah Shraddha-ya nityam grinantascha swacheshtitam kalena nati dirghena bhagavan vishite hridi. So persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. How about that as a promise for the weekend? Something. Kalena nati dirghena, right? You just have to listen to Krishna Katha. All right. On that happy note, I'll take your leave. Vanchikalpatarubhyascha
Patarubhyascha kripa sindhubhayeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Lord Premanande Hari Bol. Thank you, Shraddha Mataji.
Thank you for
Thank you,
joining.
Shraddha Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sunkopal Mataji, for reminding me.
There you go.
That was Shraddha Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare